So your name is Neeraj Kumar, right?
Yeah.
3.8 year experience in Java J2 technology.
Yes.
So profile skill set is having Spring Boot, Spring Core, Spring REST, Hibernate, Spring MVC, Spring Data JPA, Zookeeper, JUnit, Makuto, 4J, Maven, Apache, Kafka, and Java part. Java, which version have you used?
Currently, we are using Java 17.
17. So you
Yes.
aware about Java 8, right?
Yes.
Okay. So let's start with the core Java.
Okay.
So in core Java, you know, in JBM. So how JBM is work? Suppose you make it program and everything. So how JBM treat your program? Can you
JVM.
explain about that?
Okay. So whenever we create our Java .java file, so
Mm-hmm.
firstly we compile that file
Mm-hmm.
using Java C Java compiler. So
Mm-hmm.
that particular file is compiled into a .class file.
Mm-hmm.
So that .class file is now a machine readable file from our language, like
Mm-hmm.
from Java to .class machine readable form. We convert that thing. Now this particular file, what we do when we do a Java run.
Mm-hmm.
So how JVM? So when we do Java run, firstly JVM will look for an entry point in our this particular file. So
Mm-hmm.
it will search for main method, which should be public, so that JVM can access that method from outside, and
Mm-hmm.
it should be static because we are we are not creating any instance currently. Firstly, we have to accept that particular thing.
Mm-hmm.
So Java JVM, with the help of the supporting libraries, it has JVM plus supporting libraries. It executes the main method, and it is the starting point of the our application, and from
Mm-hmm.
there it start executing.
Mm-hmm. So suppose if you have not main methods, so what will happen? You know the Spring Boot and core and lot of things is having EJB and lot of things is having. So in that scenario, JVM how will identify it?
It's, so how it will identify the Spring Boot project, that it is a Spring Boot project.
No,
Main method is,
I'm not
hmm,
asking about the Spring Boot. Spring Boot have main method. I'm
yeah,
asking
yeah.
about the Spring framework. Suppose you are writing REST API and something. Dispatcher servlet is the main backbone of the controller class. So how JBM, because of here no have main method, right?
Yes, controller doesn't have any main method. Yes.
Yes. So how to run?
So how JVM will identify that thing?
Yes, yes,
Hmm.
yes, yes. Because of all thing go through the JBM, right? Without JBM cannot be run any kind of Java program.
Yes. I think like any application, it start with main, but like suppose controller.
Hmm.
So the starting point is main, but what happens for if I give example for controller class,
Hmm.
so whenever someone hits that endpoint which is exposed, that particular method is invoked. So
So you know the class loader.
class loader.
Hmm. So class loader is the main entry point of that. So class loader will load the class to JBM, right?
Yes.
Class loader how will do? If you have JRE, the Java runtime environment, it will load the class into the JBM. JBM initiate, check the references. If I have any static class level variable, based on it will decide it.
Hmm.
So running entry point is doesn't matter if you are writing the core So core means you are go through the main method. So main method, if your program is based on the main, so if identified the main method, then it will run. Otherwise, JVM will load the class,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
JVM will load the class. Why? Because of if you are executing, so this is the work of Java runtime environment. If not main method, so it will indicate to the JVM because of we doesn't find this main method. So it will throw the no such main method found error.
Yeah.
But you can't say this will not run. It will run. But main method is not app, so it will give the exception. Exception app. How many type of exception?
Exception, we have checked exception and unchecked exception. So
No,
that,
have another. It is a
yeah,
part. It is a part of exception.
yeah.
But
So exception is,
you know throwable class.
yeah.
So throwable class, how many types of exception will raise?
Uh, Throwable class will raise, I think, exception and error.
Error, yes.
Yeah. File
So
not found, error, memory out of
so
like,
error, what will do the error? Error will come through the in this such type of error. Suppose no main method found, so this is the error.
yes,
So throwable class, it will call to throwable class because of we are identifying the main method but did not get in program main method, so it will throw the error,
yes.
right? So you know the memory management of Java, how it will work. Suppose you are working in Java 8, 17, Java 8. So suppose you have project live in production.
Yes.
So in that scenario, your system will occupied means JVM or JRE. JDK is nothing role of this. So so compiler, how will compilation part is done by JVM or JRE or JDK?
Compilation is, I think it is done by JRE,
JRE.
Java Runtime.
This
Yeah.
is the runtime environment.
Compilation, yes. JRE will execute this dot class file. It is built on top of like JVM. Like, JVM, I think compilation part is done by JVM. I think Java C. We have this Java C.
So JDK. What is role of JDK?
Yeah, JDK. JDK basically, our JDK is like, it comprises our this JVM plus supporting libraries for executing that particular program. Any Java program. Like, we have many supporting libraries. In order to run one our Java file, we need many supporting libraries to execute that. Like system class, we system.out.println, we need system class.
So
So, hmm?
I think I believe that is not clear because of JDK Java Development Kit, the full name. So this kit have collection of libraries and JRE.
Plus, yeah.
Okay, so this is the role of. So collection of libraries just like as a native libraries. Suppose you are writing in Java program dot Java file. So how will compiler will compile this? So this kind of native library is maintained by the JDK. It will support to for the compilation. Once compiled, then it will come the role of JRE and JVM.
Yes.
Right. So what is the meta space and permanent generation memory PUMGen, you know
Is it
PUMGen.
part of Java memory management?
Yes, yes. How many types of memory in Java? You know?
Yeah, we have heap memory, is
Hmm.
stack memory,
Hmm.
I think this is the basically two memory like heap memory and stack memory are there. There is string constant pool but that is part of it heap memory
Yeah, the
only I think
you
that.
check 5 to 6 types
Okay.
of memory in Java. After this interview, you will search out, you will get the answer.
Okay.
So here have role, cache memory, cache memory, stack memory, and heap memory, and one more memory just like if your native library you are using, so they have different kind of memory. So 5 to 6 memory allocation is having in Java. So you know the meta
No,
space, you know? No
I'm
idea.
not. No.
So you know about check deception.
Yes.
So check deception how will work?
So, like whenever we compile our file Java C and our file path, so the check exception basically at compile time only we get to know that with the help of syntax and so it is part of our compiler. Compiler will identify if it will throw any uh, like so basically it is a compile time exception. So our compiler will identify these sorts of exception.
So suppose I will ask you, you give the one example. So how do you give the example?
Example of checked exception.
Hmm.
Mm. So suppose while when we are working with threads and when we are performing like sleep operation on some particular thread, so
Hmm.
that particular part is our critical section. So whenever we have some critical section in our code that are likely to encounter any issues, suppose we are calling any other services, we are dependent on other services and we are not sure of the response, like what will be the response in order to handle this particular critical section so that it doesn't break my rest of the execution of the rest of the code. So we we have to handle this sort of exceptions. So we get this that we should wrap this in try catch because this is my critical exception. So this
So
sort of
in Java have SQL exception.
yeah.
So SQL exception is a checked exception or unchecked exception?
SQL will be checked exception.
Why?
I think we can identify this thing at compile time only. Is it going to throw any? Um, See, there are some exception right in the database only. If we see which we encounter while runtime. Suppose in particular table I'm trying to fetch some value and I'm allotting that value in some particular variable, but that particular row is null. But that particular row is not present there. So this sort of exception we get there at runtime only. But in
No,
SQL we have
no, because of you know, but you are not able to explain it. Uh, check the exception. Suppose if you are writing the database connection class for name, right?
yeah
Driver
JDBC.
connection, driver manager dot get connection. Here you are passing the URL, username and password. So class for name and connection. So these things, because of this um, for name and get connection, these are the methods. They are occupied with the SQL exception by using throws keyword. So once you are calling these method, if you are not handling the throws SQL exception, so it will give the compilation error at the same time. If you try that after this interview, you will get the answer. You don't write try and catch. You simply you write uh, connection of JDBC. So during that it will force you, compiler will force you as a exception, either you use the try catch or you use the throw keyword in main method. So that thing just you explain it, that is the better way. I have explained you the same thing I am expecting to you. Uh, so unchecked exception. Unchecked exception can be handled or not.
Yeah, that can be handled.
How?
So unchecked exception like
No, no, no. I am asking about the yes. I unchecked exception. Yes.
runtime exceptions.
Hmm.
Yeah, that can be handled. So basically, suppose we are my code is executing, and suppose I have let's say, let's take example of any arithmetic exception.
Hmm.
If that arises, so if I am aware that this particular piece will throw exception, we catch that particular exception. We can catch and we can print the stack trace. So in catch we can handle, or we can like throw them whichsoever class
No, no,
uses.
no. The
Hmm.
question is that your
Yeah,
runtime exception means during the program,
yeah.
during the run of program, you can handle exception or not. This is my question. Suppose you have written arithmetic
We can handle
exception.
that. At that time we can't handle that. Basically, at that time we can avoid the failure of our code, and we can do that particular thing. That this particular thing doesn't break, but we can't handle that if that occurs.
Yes, we can't handle that because of runtime. You no have control to handle this exception because of
Yeah.
this is the logical errors you have written in code. Suppose you want to you can you give the example runtime exception?
Arithmetic exception.
No, no, no.
Uh,
Arithmetic. This is the common question. Just suppose you are writing the code, okay, and thereafter you want to generate exception because of uh, unchecked exception is a logical error. So you are writing the code, but sometime your in backend side have different value, in code side you have written the different type of variable. So in that scenario, definitely you will get the exception, right?
yes. Array out of
So
bound
that's why
exception.
I am asking. You can give the example.
Example of runtime exception, right?
Hmm.
Uh, like this array index out of bound exception is also a runtime exception.
Runtime exception. Yes. So how when will occur? Can you give the logical thing?
So suppose like I have one collection, I have one array, and I
Hmm.
have stored some data,
Hmm.
and like I'm processing, I'm iterating through that array of doing some operation on that particular array,
Hmm.
but some due to some logical errors, like some wrong calculation in my code, I'm trying to access beyond this array, like this beyond this array. That memory in that index is not present in that array, but I'm trying to access that thing. So that particular thing will descend array index out of bound exception.
No, you are not giving the clear answer. Array index bound of exception is occurred whenever your array size is 5, but you taking in loop size of array is 6.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like five, the array is five, but I'm
Just
like,
yeah, yes, because of I want ask the clear answer. That's why I am telling you. Because of if you giving the clear answer, it will easy to understand to me. That's why I'm asking.
okay,
Uh, why I tell, if you size you have fixed size 5 you, but you iterating length with 6 because of 6 it does not exist in the array. Okay, in array, so whenever you executing because of one iteration is more, So if reach in the last iteration, not have with the array list. So in that scenario, it will throw the array bound of exception because of that index 6 is not have an array, because of this not have any occupation occupied values. So this is a discarded. This is a discarded. So in that cases, it will throw the array index bound of exception.
Yes.
Simple answer. So you know encapsulation and abstraction.
Yes.
So what are differences in encapsulation and abstraction?
So abstraction basically, abstraction is we basically hide our business logic. Basically, we don't want to expose our business logic. We can achieve abstraction.
Hmm.
Uh, if our purpose is this particular thing, so we use interfaces, abstract classes. Okay. So
No,
this
no,
what we do.
no,
We
no, no, no. Actually, so you go to wrong path. Interface and abstract class is a mechanism, not a part of abstraction and encapsulation. Abstract interface and abstract class will never happen encapsulation. Never
yeah,
happen.
I was explaining to achieve abstraction. We use this methodology, this interfaces to achieve abstraction.
Achieve the abstraction.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm asking you give the example, real scenario.
Real scenario of
Because
abstraction.
you are coder, you
Yeah.
have knowledge, but deeply just I give the one just I give the scenario. I have already given the encapsulation example. Because of interface and abstract class is a different mechanism. Suppose I don't want to create object of the particular class, but that functionality I want to implement in the another class. So that perspective we are using the abstract class. Interface because of fully abstract. Interface why we using? Because of if we require the multiple implementation, multiple functions. Suppose you have 5 interface. Okay, you have made the 5 interface, and all these 5 interface have different method, but we have required to implement in one class. So it is not feasible 5 classes at the same time in another class, because of it have the dimensional problem, because of Java doesn't support to multiple inheritance. Okay, so so that's why we are going with the interface, because of if have 10 interface, 100 interface,
We can
I
implement
want
all.
to implement all method in the other class, so we can implement multiple interface. That's why we are using the interface, but this is not correlate uh, with the abstraction. Abstraction is different thing.
See, interfaces are like our contracts. They act as contract. Like this is the, like suppose I'm implementing any particular part for any organization, so they can have defined set of rules and regulation to follow. Like if I'm working for this particular organization, and if I'm executing this particular part of code, so if there is some business logic which, like, they have declared that this thing has to be processed, these are the steps to be followed, so we
So this is you can say as a design pattern. This is you can say as a design pattern, because of every architect have some whenever you are developing the application randomly you cannot do. They have a standard procedure, SOP. Means you can write interface, you can write class, you can write abstract class, because of you have multiple object, you are working in one project 10 members, they are maintaining the duplicacy because of you have written the same method, other developer is written the same method. Okay, so that is the standard procedure. This is not a part of abstraction. I think hope you got my point.
Yes.
So this that's why we are maintaining this standard procedure set of rules means. So for your reference, just I am giving the answer. Abstract class abstraction is just, you already told me, hiding the behavior, hiding the complexity of behavior without showing to user,
Yes.
get the output. Okay, and encapsulation means binding the data and
I,
method into the single unit. If you are aware about the unit, unit is a real time entity or any.
so see, encapsulation basically our data members and our methods,
Hmm.
we wrap up into a same we wrap up into a single like class. So whatsoever have same
No, single
functionality.
class because of you are like that. Here have a misunderstanding. That's why I'm getting. Class is a blueprint. You know,
Yes,
blueprint and entity is a different.
and it is basically the object,
Encapsulation, yes. So binding
real world.
into, yes, you are coming in the same, in the correct path. Data and method, if you bind into the single unit, means this is the runtime entity. Encapsulation is a simple runtime entity. Your data and method you bind into the object, that is the encapsulation, simple thing.
Yeah, basically, I was explaining how it is implemented. Like we have one classes. Like if you will not create the blueprint like that, like when the at runtime when the instance of this blueprint is created, and our data members and methods which are supposed to perform one specific task, if they are not wrapped up together, so
Hmm.
that particular thing will not achieve the purpose of encapsulation. That is how we do. So that object
Just
exactly that is the real world entity, basically
okay,
object.
okay,
Our
okay. I understand your point.
yeah.
So how will happen abstraction? Just to give the example, you telling, I was telling about that
Abstraction you
abstraction.
are saying, na?
Yes.
So abstraction basically, suppose I was trying to give the example of this abstract class also. We can like we have some abstract classes, and basically when the client whosoever we are sending the
No,
data,
no,
they
no.
get, our business logic is not exposed there.
No, because of you going to, not going to right path. Here, abstraction and encapsulation both are the complement of each other. So you again explaining about the abstract class and interface. This is not reality. You have encapsulated value you want to extract. That is the abstraction. Suppose your fully implemented method, you have inside the encapsulation, inside the object, you take the reference and call the method. Here you are writing any body? Nothing. Writing body? Not, right? So this is abstraction because of without implementation, hiding the implementation, and user can get the outcome. When you the reference of class dot method, you will get the output. This is the abstraction. That's why I'm telling you what is difference between the encapsulation. Encapsulation, it is used for the binding data and method. Abstraction means abstract the data and method outside of the object.
Yeah,
You can
at that
say,
time, yes, like yeah, so whatever functionality that client is going to use, they will not be like not be that business logic will not be available to that. Only suppose any method is there, they can access that particular method and they can use like the functionality of that, but they will never get the get to know what is the logic behind it, how it is written, that particular things. We are giving references. They can use dot whatsoever
Yes,
method.
yes.
Arguments, they can pass the arguments and they can see.
Simple thing. I think hope you got the answer.
Yeah.
So this is the role of the abstraction. You don't tell use the abstract class and interface, because the abstract class and interface is different thing. I already told you why we are using abstract class, because of you don't want to create object of that particular class, but that class we want to commonly use in overall. I think you have project in the one abstract class is using in the whole project as a common. Why using common? Because of uh, suppose I have set the some common rules. Common rules means just like as a ID. If you are using the JPA, so JPA you have made a one abstract class. Here you define the ID long whatever. The similar things you can follow in the all classes.
Yeah.
You got at my point, right?
Yes.
So, so this is huge. So that's why I'm asking the simple question, use cases only. I'm not telling. If you clear about the definition, you will clear about the coding answer. Writing, code writing, and this is the different thing. Collection framework is just one moment. One moment. I will ask more question in the core concept. Constructor can be overloaded in the same class.
Yeah, we can overload construction. Yes.
Okay. And static method can be override.
Static method override. We can like yeah, change the values. We can override the static methods.
Can be override static method.
Override in the sense like changing the values. No, no, static like if we I am any subclass cannot override that. Static method is a property of the class. Basically, static is a class property. We
Hmm.
cannot subclasses can hide the implementation. If we override that, that so it will be method hiding. It will not be overriding
Method hiding. Hiding. Why you telling a method hiding? Hiding is a
because
different thing. Because of your all static methods are associated with the class. It can be accessed through the on class. If you have same method, you write in drive class, so it will be accessed by the drive class only. The simple thing.
yeah. So like if I explain this hiding, why I said hiding. So suppose we have one main method,
Mm-hmm.
and that is a static method.
Mm-hmm.
What suppose what happens that particular any subclasses which is extending that particular class which have main method, and
Mm-hmm.
that class also has this main method. That can also have a static main method. So
Mm-hmm.
what will happen? That this thing will be hiding the actual, but it will not override the main method. It will hide our main method. So
Mm-hmm.
that can never be overridden. Static methods can never be overridden. That belongs to
Okay.
the class.
Okay. Uh, you know what is difference between hash map and hash table?
Hash map and hash table.
Hmm.
So basically, we hash map. In hash map, we store in key value format,
Hmm.
and I think in hash table, hash map is part of the legacy classes. I think now we use hash table is part of the legacy classes. We use hash map now.
Hmm. And hash table is not a part of legacy, right?
Hash map, no, it is not part
Hmm.
of legacy classes.
So what is difference between array list and vector?
Array list and vector.
Hmm.
So both like basically both implements the list interface. So in array list, what happens that in array list, okay, let me. So memory are continuous, like contiguous in this array list. So whenever one additional number is added, so it stores data in the same format. Suppose we have array just like array, but it is dynamic, size is dynamic. We can size will be increased, and so but this I think uh, contiguous memory location is not available there in vector.
Okay.
Yeah, key difference I can say that.
Yeah. So you know the comparator and comparable. What is difference between comparator and comparable?
Comparator and comparable.
Mm.
So okay, to give example of comparator and comparable, so both are used to compare two object, but how it works is different. So comparable, if I say, uh, so we have to do the changes in the that suppose I have one employee class,
Mm.
and I have to compare it with others. So whenever we sort, we pass this instance of comparator.
Mm.
So comparable basically it changes that particular employee. Suppose employee, we have to sort employees. So we have to implement comparable in that particular class, and comparable can only perform operation on one attribute of the class. Like we cannot suppose in employee I have salary, I have age. So comparable can only perform comparison operation on one attribute. It cannot perform operation on multiple attribute.
Mm.
In contrary to this, if you see comparator, so we don't need to do the changes in the actual employee class. Okay, we can define one comparator class separately, which implements the comparator interface, or and it can basically provide implement because I have not changed the employee class basically. So we can do the comparison on various attributes based on our requirement.
Mm.
So in comparator, in dot sort method, we can directly pass the instance of this.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
that is.
okay. So what is difference between Spring framework and Spring Boot?
Spring Framework and Spring Boot.
Mm.
I think mm, the most basic difference is Spring Boot is built up on Spring Framework only
Mm.
with enhancements. Whatever the downfalls we had in Spring Framework, that particular thing has been tackled in Spring Boot. So one thing we can say auto configuration.
Mm.
Auto configuration is there in Spring Boot. Spring Boot have a embedded server in it. So Spring Boot application is a standalone application. It's a production ready. We can directly deploy it because it has embedded server in it.
Mm.
In Spring, we don't have this embedded server functionality, so we can't say it is a standalone. We need to have a server, and auto configuration, embedded servers do these two things, and Spring Boot also provide actuators basically which give us some DevOps functionality where we can monitor and check the health of our application.
Mm.
Spring Boot application are more scalable and more quick, I think, in comparison to our old Spring framework.
Mm. Okay. So you know in REST API.
Yes.
So in REST API, suppose what is I will give the one scenario. I want to some create a
Create report
resource,
resource. Okay.
resource, and second, I want to retrieve resources means from the database.
Okay.
So which kind of method you will use? Method,
For
HTTPS method, HTTP method.
so just if you have to fetch data, so we can use get only
Mm.
get method we can use.
Mm.
Like that is preferred. Get mapping we use to fetch data.
Mm.
Yeah.
Other for other?
Other operations like
No, I have two scenario.
one is fetching data, another is
Creating resource.
For creating resource, so basically from client side, we will get the detail of the resource. I think put put is for updation.
Post you can be used, right?
Post can be used. Yes.
Okay. So why we are using get and post for these two scenario? You have any reason behind this?
Reason behind okay, why we are using get and post. So say see whenever we just want to fetch data.
Hmm.
Okay. So suppose in ID we require very less amount of data from this we amount require very less amount of data from client, so he can directly provide ID to me. So based on that ID we can fetch data from our database. But if we are creating one new employee, so we want this employee object or any new object we are creating, so we require all the details of that. So we use post for that particular method. Post also provide whenever we do get, so in our URL that particular data is exposed, but in post that particular data is not exposed. So
Okay, so okay, I am just moving in. I will ask one more question related to database. So you are comfortable in database?
yes,
Which scenario, uh, do you know the cursor?
cursor, yeah, cursor,
So which
yeah,
scenario cursor can be used?
scenario.
Hmm.
Okay, it's cursor. So suppose I have one database and I'm working on some particular table, and cursor I can say it provide it is like a view. It provide an intermediate step. So basically I have lot of data and I want to store that particular data in particular format intermediately, so we can perform some data there, and then this cursor can hold some data.
Hmm.
So that data whose structure is not defined, so cursor can hold that particular data. So it just created a view, it creates a view. Okay, and that particular data further we can use in our handling. So suppose from one table, so from multiple tables we are collecting some data, and then this particular data we are going to use to perform any operation or populate some other tables. So this particular intermediate operation we can define cursor, what type of data this cursor can hold, and then we can store data there and we can do our further operations.
Oh, okay, thank you. There actually time was only the 45 minutes. So now I am just going to conclude this call. You want to ask anything else?
No.